Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. So, I need your opinion, people. I've been playing around quite a bit with this light thing, and this sort of visor thing that I'm running basically does the exact same thing as the sunglasses. So, what do you prefer? Because this is a medical thing, at least for a while, that I got to knock that light down. Would you prefer the hat or the glasses? Why don't you guys let me know here before I get too far rolling into this today. We're going to be talking about D-Day today, people. This is the 79th anniversary of D-Day, which is kind of a big deal. Hey, KD, good to see you. Phases of the moon. You know, I do a little bit better with the hat in terms of being able to read the comments. Yeah, Drill Sergeant Tommy. Dennis Brace likes the glasses. That's the first vote I have seen as yet. So this is kind of a big deal. 79 years ago, we stormed the beaches at Normandy. So apparently there's only going to be one vote. Glasses. All right. Well, you know what? It seems that the glasses are getting more votes. So I'm going to put the glasses back on then, because I do need to do this. Oh, quiet, Mama Scoville. She was voting hat, but there we go. It is a little bit tougher to read the comments with the hat on, which is kind of with the glasses on, which is kind of a bummer. But I am going to get to a point where I'm able to get something that works. I'm working on it. I also can play a little bit. I also can play a little bit with the lighting and still not have it cause too much problems. All right. Por qué no los dos? Oh, yeah. Why? No. I don't know what you said, but something. Nice hat, Captain. Why, thank you. I used to wear this quite a bit back in the day. This is a heavy day, people. This is really, really a heavy day. Blake Richardson, good to see you. This is as I said, 79th anniversary of D-Day. This is it's a historic event. And it kind of symbolized the bravery and the sacrifice of a generation that people to this day still call the greatest generation. In the backdrop of that, thinking about that and keeping that in the back of your mind, I want to shed a light on a pressing issue that demands our immediate attention and our call to action. Obviously, the war on drugs right now is something that is a big deal for me. But I think it should be a big deal for all Americans, because as we confront a dire threat that is deliberately targeting our nation, this opioid epidemic, we must realize that these drugs are not just meant to harm us. They are meant to kill us. Let us not forget the lessons of history when our nation was shaken to its core by the attack on Pearl Harbor. You know, we responded with fierce determination, understanding that our very existence as a free and sovereign nation was at stake. We rallied together, setting aside all of our differences, and we fought for a common cause. Today, we face a different kind of battle, but one that is equally critical to our survival and our well-being. Sadly, we don't seem to be able to put our differences aside and fight this. It seems to me that there's a very large difference between the greatest generation and the one that we are all living in currently. The weapon being wielded against us in this war is not conventional arms. It's the flow of drugs, specifically opioids, and they're flowing to our streets and to our homes. And the roots of this crisis reach far and wide, stemming from the production and distribution networks, which are fueled by an insidious alliance between China, China, and Mexican drug cartels. This deadly combination poses an existential threat to our society, and we cannot afford to be complacent. We need to put our differences aside. We need to start coming together as a nation and as a world, or we're going to find that this time around, we don't win. We must question why we seem more willing to accept this assault when the weapon is drugs. Is it because the casualties are not immediately visible and they're hidden away behind closed doors? Is it because addiction is often stigmatized, leading to the marginalization of those affected? We cannot afford to turn a blind eye any longer. People, we are under attack. We really are. The opioid epidemic is not merely a public health crisis, it's a national emergency that requires our collective resolve and our unwavering determination. We must recognize that every life lost to an overdose is a tragedy. A life cut short with untold potential and dreams unfulfilled. It's a loss not only for the individuals and for their families, but for our entire society. When the attack on Pearl Harbor happened, we lost about 2,700 men. Instantly, they were considered heroes. Now, many of them, most of them, were in the service. But what made them heroes was not the fact that they were in the service. What made them heroes was the fact that they were a casualty of war. They were attacked under a sneaky attack from another country. And we wanted payback. We wanted retribution. And because of that, we came together as a society. And in all honesty, we came together as a world. But it's just not happening this time. To truly address this crisis, we must muster the same courage, unity, and determination that defined previous generations in times of peril. We need a comprehensive and aggressive strategy that encompasses prevention, treatment, law enforcement, and international cooperation, and tightening the hell out of our borders. If you don't like my politics, I understand that. But I want to meet the person that's going to give me a decent debate on how this administration has done one thing to curb drugs getting on the street of our country. They have made it easier and easier and easier and easier to cross that border. And the easier it is to cross that border, then the easier it is to put drugs onto our street. Drugs that may as well be bullets and bombs. You understand? Now I realize that prevention must begin with education, and we got to equip the youth and communities with the knowledge and the tools to make informed decisions, to resist peer pressure, and to understand the dangers of opioid use. It's our responsibility to empower them with the strength to say no, to seek healthier alternatives, and to recognize the signs of addiction in themselves and in others. But you know what? Even if we do that, if we bust our humps, if we go into schools, if we do everything possible, it's not enough. Prevention alone isn't going to get it done. We must ensure that those who are already struggling with addiction have access to comprehensive treatment and recovery services. This means increasing funding for addiction treatment centers, expanding access to evidence-based therapies, and providing an ongoing support for individuals on their journey to recovery. We got to break down the barriers that prevent people from seeking help in the first place. That includes stigma. Of course, a lack of insurance coverage and all of the other things that jump right out at you, limited availability to treatment facilities, all of that. But that stigma is the biggest thing. Because if you think the world is going to crap all over you if you ask for help, you're not going to ask for help, no matter how much money is out there to help you. If it comes with an unbelievable weight of embarrassment, then simply put, it's not going to happen. It isn't. You can throw money at things, but where there needs to be a fundamental shift in how we view people who are addicted to drugs in general. And then furthermore, we got to confront the supply chain that feeds this epidemic. Our fight against drug trafficking must be relentless and unwavering. We need to collaborate with our international partners to disrupt the production and the distribution networks that funnel these lethal substances into our communities. Our law enforcement agencies must have the necessary resources, support, and a legal framework to dismantle these criminal enterprises and bring those responsible to justice. The truth of the matter is, we're not doing this because at the moment we don't care. There's a group of people in the White House that are running this country that do not care how many people die from drug overdoses. We simply are not people to them. And that's sad. If you look at how we came together and set all of our differences aside when we thought that our way of life was being threatened. What we did in World War II is astounding. We overcame obstacles that everybody thought were quite simply not possible. And our world was saved by 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. Most of whom volunteered. Right? Didn't need to draft people for that. They were sprinting down to avenge the death of 2,700 people. Well, we're losing so many more than that. Every single month now, we're losing 2,700 people. But there's nobody to avenge those people. There's nobody to scream for justice to those people. It seems we forget the human face of this crisis. Behind every statistic, there are real individuals, our fellow Americans, who are caught in the vicious cycle of addiction. They are not disposable casualties of war. They are human beings who deserve our empathy, our compassion, and our support. We must foster a culture of understanding, providing safe spaces for individuals to seek help without the fear of any kind of judgment or any kind of stigma attached. We need to create places like the Lifeboat, where when you show up, the only cost of admission is the fact that you realize that your life isn't going to be where you want it to be because of drugs or alcohol. I look back and I read about the greatest generation. I read about how many mistakes were made on D-Day, on the day of the invasion. How in hell did we win? Honestly, if you study D-Day and you study how everything went down, it is a miracle, an absolute miracle. But you see, back then we believed in miracles. After Pearl Harbor, after we were attacked, and when we started into World War II, our president got on the radio and prayed. Yeah, can you imagine? He said a prayer on the radio. I don't care what your religious affiliation is. And you know what? No one cared what anyone else's was then either. They realized that that prayer was calling out to God to protect Americans. They didn't care. Nobody started filing paperwork. Hey, I'm Jewish. How dare you pray that way? You know, hey, I'm a Muslim. How dare you pray that way? No, see, we were all on the same page. We all believed that if we didn't stand together, we were going to sink together. Now half the country wants to see us sink. The other half doesn't give a crap one way or the other. Propaganda is destroying our country, and so are drugs. These drugs are coming from China. When are we going to stop BSing that we're under attack? Plain and simple, we are under attack. It's not bombs. It's not bullets. It's drugs. It's drugs. And it's not just killing people, but the people who aren't dying are having their lives destroyed, and the lives of all of the people around them. After the prayer, our president said, I implore you to continue to pray every day, all of you, until our boys come home. You think that could happen today? Seriously, think a president could come on and pray? When are we all going to start acting like Americans? You know, do I think we could match the greatest generation? Honestly, I don't. I don't. We've become the most self-centered generation in history. And I'm not talking about millennials or X's, I'm talking about if you're on the planet today and you're breathing, you know, the people who are not in their 80s, the people who are not in their 70s. But all of us in this country today and in this planet, we can't seem to come together for any reason. You know that prior to our last president, everybody in government had voted to build a wall. Everybody. You can look it up. Virtually everybody. Our former president, Barack Obama, stood and said, we need to build a wall. Look it up. So why all of a sudden was it a bad idea? Even with the money there, we have all of that wall sitting there, right? Rusting, because nobody wants to give the other side a win. All of a sudden, they didn't believe it anymore. Not because they all of a sudden said walls don't work. They knew it would keep out drugs. They knew it would keep out the element we don't want coming into our country. Not the people who want to get here, they want to fill out paperwork and come legally. No, drugs. We're talking about drugs. They knew but they don't care. God forbid they give the friggin' Republicans a win. Or God forbid the Republicans give the Democrats a win. Who gives a crap? You know what happens? What happens are digits, right? Digits. Get a piece of paper and write the number 300 on it and look down at it. Looks like a half a freaking 8, right? And a couple of O's. No big deal, right? That's 300 people. How many are in the boat right now? 30, 40? Think about that. Every day, dead. And instead of doing something about it, no, we can't give the Republicans a win. Can't give them a win. And you know what? If we gotta tear the borders down altogether so that we can get a bunch of people in here to vote in one direction or another, the hell is wrong with us as a country? You know, I'm going to lose subscribers today. Probably a crap ton of them. You know, that's how it goes when I have these kind of conversations. But we're running out of time as a country. We really are. We're under attack. And there just aren't enough people who are saying that.
Hold on a minute. Somebody's coming to look at the house now. I'm going to close your door.
All right. Apparently someone is coming to check out my home. So we're just going to keep rolling. But we're under attack and there aren't enough people who are saying it. I mean, you think I'm crazy? Let me just ask you from a drug dealer standpoint. If your product is killing half of the people that you're selling it to, what do you do? Come on. Economics 101. Half of your customer base is dying because of the product that you're making. What do? Well, you make it weaker. You make a safer product because you don't want to kill people who hand you money. That's bad business. That's economics 101. Don't kill your customer base. It's not good for business. But that's not what's happening. The product is getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. I mean, what are we, stupid? Makes me want to scream, "Let's go, Brandon," at the top of my lungs, to be really honest with you. Because what we're looking at right now, you know what this is going to be, people? This is going to be somebody saying, "What are you doing? You're about to kill half of your audience." That's where we're at. That's where we're at. So, you know, there's only so much time that you can sit in front of a microphone and feel like you're chewing on your lip as hard as you can, pretending that this thing is about drugs, because it's not about drugs. It's just an excellent weapon. It is an excellent weapon. I mean, what if you stood offshore and you fired shots into, say, some port country? You could do New York pretty easy. You could do Los Angeles, right? Some city that's close enough to the ocean where you could just start shelling from a boat. If you killed 300 a day, what the hell do you think would happen? Huh? How fast would we go to war? But instead, we sit here and let this stuff come across the border, kill 300 plus people every single day. Our brothers, our sisters, our kids, our parents. And then what we do is we get a ton of money put together so that we can actually fight a legitimate war. And then we send it to Ukraine. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. I'm sorry if you don't like my politics. This isn't about Republican. This isn't about Democrat. It's about my brothers and sisters dying. And you know what? I kept my mouth shut for a couple of years hoping this guy might do something. But he's not doing shit. Sorry. And something's got to be done. They're going to see how far they can push us, people. They're going to see what they can get away with. And they're going to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And I've known people like that. I've known people like that in prison. They just keep pushing and keep pushing. And you know what you got to do? You got to bust them in their teeth. You got to draw a line in the sand and go, this ain't happening anymore. Right? It's you and me. This ain't happening anymore. This is as far as you go. But that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. When they came in and said, we're going to remove a crap load of the people guarding our southern border. Why? Because drug overdoses have never been any higher. So let's get rid of the people who are protecting us. Makes a lot of sense, right? Well, we didn't do anything. We didn't freak out as a country and say, what do you mean You're going to decrease the security at the border. It doesn't make any sense. We've never had anything like this happen, and you're going to take away the people guarding the border? Why would you do that? But we didn't do anything. And then when they repeal a way that we had to keep people out, right? Title 42, is it 42, 24? See that? My brain's going to mush. I think it's 42. But when they repealed that, we didn't freak out. I made a video. We all did a little bit of yelling. But you see, the more that you let them do it to us, the more they're going to keep doing it to us. And we're going to get to a point in the very near future where, you know what? They just say, don't worry about it. Forget it. We're just all one country now. Who cares? Who cares? People, you couldn't make anybody on the planet believe what's going on here. Anybody. If you met somebody and they were just completely oblivious and ignorant to everything going on, and you said, yeah, we have drugs pouring across our border, and it's literally the number one cause of death in our country. What are you doing about it? Well, we're going to make it easier for people to get in here. Yeah. We're going to make an app so that they can schedule what time they're going to illegally cross the border to make it easier for us to process them. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's one of those things that just makes you sit there and go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. You can't make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. But that's what's going on. So on the 79th anniversary of a time where we truthfully came together as a country, where we said, we're not letting Hitler take over this planet. We're not going to let the Japanese attack Americans. We're drawing a line in the sand. And we did things that no one thought could be done. I remember being in high school and being in college, back when we still loved America and we still did things like the Pledge of Allegiance. And the idea that someone would attack mainland America was unthinkable. Now, very intelligent people who study what goes on geopolitically worldwide are saying that World War III will be fought here. That people are going to be coming to our border. And do you know why they're going to? Because they don't think we have it anymore. They think that, and they're probably right, they think that a lot of people in this country will fight for them. Yeah? Why wouldn't they? We've allowed them to brainwash our kids. See, when I was a boy, I was brainwashed. So were you. By things like Schoolhouse Rock, by getting up every morning and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. And we would say these things every single day, right? Every single day. Go to a football game, go to a basketball game, you took your hat off, you stood up, you put your hand over your heart, and you listened to the Star Spangled Banner. People sang along, right? We believed that our country was the greatest place on earth. Now, 45% of people say that if they were attacked on our soil, they wouldn't fight. 45%. You don't think China hears that? You don't think every other country hears that? Look around, people. Ronald Reagan used to say that freedom is not something you inherit. It doesn't come in your veins from the previous generation. It's something that you got to fight for every couple of generations, because if not, we're going to sit someday in a rocking chair and we're going to say, I remember what it was like to live in America when men were free. Trust and believe that's coming. What does this have to do with drugs? Well, that's their weapon. That's their weapon. Their weapon right now is fentanyl. Come here, squirrel. Their weapon right now is fighting the disease. All of these drugs, and there's no accident. It's no accident that this stuff is here. If you had told me when I was a kid that the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation was going to say, we have a document that says the guy in the White House was selling access to the White House for $5 million worth of cash and diamonds. Think I'm making this up? Good Lord, do some reading. There's a document out there that proves that Let's Go Brandon got bribed. He's refusing to hand it over. There's a subpoena for it. He says, no, we won't hand it over. And yesterday on the floor of Congress, the FBI said, the whistleblower, I don't think we can protect him. What the hell does that mean? Oh, so you're just going to go ahead and kill him, boys? And who's going to do the killing? I'm so effed up about this country right now, people. I'm sad that I'm sad I'm moving to Tucson, Arizona. I'd like to move to any other place. I used to love this country more than anything in the world, but this country's gone to hell in a handbasket. It has. It used to be right versus left, and now it's good versus evil. Don't get it messed up. It's good versus evil. They're going to prosecute probably this week the previous president because he had some documents locked up in a room, which were locked up in an office, which were locked up in a house in Florida. He was president at the time, which means he could declassify the stuff on the way out the door. Biden had stuff where? In the glove box, right? Of his car in a garage in Delaware. Nobody talking about him, though, is there? See, there's two different sets of justice these days. So you want me to shut up and just talk about drugs and rehab? I'm sorry, man. There's something about having a mouthful of crap that eventually you got to spit that out and say something. And if it costs me some subscribers and some friends, you know what? You do the right thing or you don't. That's just kind of how it goes. And we are under attack. You hear me? Make no mistake. We are under attack. The weapon right now is fentanyl. The number one cause of death in America today is drug overdose from the ages of 18 to 50. How many times have you heard me say that phrase? Between the ages of 18 to 50, the number one cause of death. Boy, it loses its stings, doesn't it? Think about that. You're more likely to die of a drug overdose than you are a car wreck, cancer, heart attacks, anything. Why? You going to tell me that this White House couldn't stop it? Do you really believe that? Do you believe they couldn't do it? How about if the 300 people who were dying a day weren't drug addicts? What if what was coming across the border was just killing 300 regular citizens? Think they'd put up with it? They'd have the entire army on that border right now. They'd be sending troops into Mexico to take the cartels out. Think I'm playing? They would be. You know it and I know it. This is the perfect attack. It's the perfect attack. Because the people you're killing, nobody cares about. It's genius. We're drug addicts. We're write-offs. Nobody cares. It's the truth, isn't it? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But it's the truth. I'm going to tell you something. I care. I care. And not a whole lot I can do, right? Convicted felon. It's not like I can run for office, but I got this. And you know what? I'm going to be talking about it. Seriously, I'm not going to shut up about it. And if you hate my politics, whatever. Whatever. There's right and there's wrong. You ain't got to agree with me, but there's right and there's wrong. And if you don't see that what's going on right now is 8 shades of wrong, then I question you. I really do. I question you. 300 people, 300 people, 300 people, 300 people, 300 people. 2,100 deaths a week. 2,700 died when we got attacked at Pearl Harbor. 2,700. We're losing 2,100 a week. And who cares? Outside the lifeboat, who cares? You hearing a lot of people complain about this? Hearing a lot of people scream about this? I'm not. So raise your voice up. The greatest generation volunteered, bled and died so that we had an opportunity to engage in politics, to get involved. And what do we do now instead? We wonder what Cardi B is rapping about. Seriously. We have turned off as a society. We don't care. We really don't. From the outside in Ireland, it looks like everything that can be done is being done to kill the whole of USA. Well, Full of Hope gets it. Full of Hope gets it because that's exactly what's going on. The only way to get American people to vote in most is to allow it to be done over social media. It's pretty astute there, actually. Seven Sons, pretty sharp. We are the majority no matter what mainstream media tells you. There's a lot to be said for that. There really is. But you know what? This silent majority shit has got to come to a stop. We can't be silent anymore. We can't. We can't. We have an opportunity. The only thing we got that we can use is our voice. If we don't use it, we're screwed. And we'll have nobody to blame but ourselves. So I, for one, I don't have a big platform, right? About 3,900 people. By tonight, probably 3,800 people. But make no mistake. Yankee Kyle, good to see you. Make no mistake. It has to be said. What did Flamin' Jackson just say? Let's see. Bring back paper ballots. And V says, yes, Flamin'. Maybe if they did that, I would vote again. You know what, people? Please vote in this upcoming election. Please. Please. You know, since I've been a little kid, every single time there is a presidential election, they say the exact same thing. Every time they say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. They say it over and over and over again. This is the most important election of our lifetime. I got news for you. This is the last election of our lifetime. We don't do something pretty damn dramatic this time around, there isn't going to be another one. Because you see, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. The next thing is just to take over and say, screw elections. We're dictators from this point on. You think I'm kidding? They're going like this right now to the FBI. Nah, we're not to Congress. We're not going to give you that piece of paper. Screw you. Hold me in contempt. I don't care. We're not handing it over. And we're going to kill the whistleblower. That's where we're at. In the United States of America, that's where we're at. And I got news for you. I'm going to say this, and I don't care what anybody says. What do you think of that? But I'm going to say this. I am getting good and sick and tired of watching some of the most racist crap I've ever seen in my entire life without saying anything about it. One of my best friends and mentors, as you all know, is black. Love him. I love him. He's one of the most important people in my life. So I'm getting really tired of listening to the racist BS from people on CNN and people on all major media that say voter ID laws, they're racist. To make somebody have an ID is racist. So you know what they're saying? Pay attention. They're saying black people aren't smart enough to get an ID, right? Brown people, black people, they're not smart enough to get an ID. That's what they're saying. No problem with whites having IDs, right? Well, if it's racist, then what you're saying is the only people that can't seem to be able to procure an ID. If that ain't racist, I don't know what the hell is. I've never met anybody that couldn't get an ID. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And you know what, people? We have been duped for the longest period of time that if they call you a racist, you go, okay, do whatever you do. Don't call me that. I'm so sorry. I'll shoot a video and I'll apologize for whatever you said I just did. Well, you know what? Screw everybody. I ain't apologizing for nothing. I don't hate anybody based on the color of their skin, based on their gender, based on their sexual orientation, any of that crap. But I hate stupid. Believe that. I freaking hate stupid. And anybody right now that believes that this White House is doing anything to stop the flow of drugs into our country, I question your native intelligence. Sorry, that's the way I feel. Sorry, not sorry. There's something massively, massively wrong with how this is going down. And if you're not seeing it, then I apologize. Hey, Squirrel Nut Zipper. She's a little tripped out because people just came to see the house and she doesn't like people other than me and everybody on the boat, of course. Dominic, good to see you. Noise Opera, glad you're here. AKA Heather Joy. Monk. Yeah, I'd make a hell of a president. If I got in office, I'd last about 8 minutes. I'm afraid that one waved bye-bye a long time ago. Actually, they have ruined the term racist for me. And I agree with you, Miss Dragon. Of course they have, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Sadly, whenever you hear somebody say that, they're not talking about racist people. I was in prison. I know racist people. They hate people based solely on the color of their skin. No other reason. That's racist. That's what that is. That's racist. They often seem designed to pit brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. That's my son. See that? That is Spanx Calhoun. Well done, my boy. Smart kid. Smart man. I wish he ain't a kid anymore. God, he's a grown man. When the people can't afford... oh man, I don't know what just happened. When the people can't afford to it in mass, maybe... peeps will wake up. Yeah, Thanks, Squirrel. Sadly, people are going to wake up when it's too late. That's what's going to happen. People are going to wake up when it's too late. Get prepared, people. Put up some water, right? Get some food put up. Because I'm telling you, the ship is going to hit the sand. I'm not crazy. I promise you. There are bad things coming down the pike. You realize that right now, as we speak, in China, they are playing around the clock, 24-hour a day propaganda, telling them that we are the worst people on the planet, that America is Satan, and they are doing it around the clock, 24 hours a day. It's the fact. And what are we doing? We're over here going, they're really nice people, and we should probably, if we just are a little bit more accepting. Holy shit. They're preparing for war, and we're preparing to shake hands. It's coming, people. I promise you it's coming. They're helping, not hurting the drug problem. I'll tell you my opinion because I don't care anymore. My opinion is this. Our president is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese. They got dirt on him. They got dirt on his kid. So he is doing exactly what he is told to do. Nothing else makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. With the information that I have, looking at what everyone else is looking at, the only explanation of how our man is running this country is that he is owned by a foreign entity. There is nothing else that makes sense. Sorry if you don't like it, but that is the damn truth. That man is owned. There is nothing else that makes sense. Or they just want to destroy our country and hand it to the Chinese. They're paid off, or they're going to get to be emperors in parts of China when this is all over. But nothing makes sense. Nothing anymore. The majority of Americans don't care about anything that's not right in front of them. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And even if it's right in front of them, it better be really well packaged. It better be really well packaged. If you ever read the book 1984, right? Big Brother had to break the protagonist at the end, and they broke the protagonist by getting him to say what? 1 + 1 = 3. If he said 1 + 1 = 2, they beat him. 1 + 1 = 3. They just kept doing it until he agreed that 1 + 1 = 3. Sounds silly, right? Sounds silly. But that's why when they say stuff like a man can menstruate, I'm not going down that road. When you start telling me things that I have to say that make no sense, right? Men can't menstruate. Sorry, doesn't happen. Men can't have babies. Sorry, doesn't happen. Doesn't. You want to hate me for that? Go ahead and hate me for that. I don't hate transgendered people. I don't. Got nothing against anybody. But a man cannot give birth. 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. And I'll tell you what, you can come here and you can shoot me before I say 1 + 1 = 3, or a man can have a baby. And you know what? I'm going to go out on those. That's about as much as my head can handle today, people. I love you. I really do. I'm going to be making an announcement tomorrow. I'm doing a guest appearance on another channel. It's a channel with a very, very, very large audience. And I'm going to be doing a live feed, just me and the host, sometime tomorrow. So I will be announcing the name of that channel, and I will be announcing what time that is going off. I will put it up on the group page over on Facebook. I'm sorry, peeps. I wish I could go longer, but quite simply put, I can't. I'm Tommy Scoville. This is the cat in the basket. 1 + 1 = 2. You hear me? 1 + 1 = 2. Joe Biden's doing nothing to stop drugs from coming into our country. If anything, he's making it easier. You got to vote. Use it. For real. You care about this country? Get this ass out of office, and quickly, because this man does not care about you or your kids or your grandkids. Plain and simple. He got to go, people. He's got to go. I love each and every one of you. And if you're a Democrat, I love you too. This guy's got to go. God bless you. Captain Tommy Scoville. This was the Lifeboat. God bless America, and God bless all of you.